How do you place a value on a bottle of bourbon? On this episode of Blending Bourbon, Dixon and I talk about finding the price points and the nuances behind if the juice is worth the squeeze.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Welcome back. Another episode of the Blending Bourbon podcast. My name is Dixon Dedman of 2XO Whiskey, joined by my very good friend, whereupon I normally insert some random and obscure fact about David, but my brain's not firing on all cylinders, so without further ado, David Mark Young, master blender of Golden Chief. Sorry.
How you doing, Dixon?
I'm good. How are you?
That's great, man. You've banked so many great introductions. You're like the master of ceremonies.
I just like racking my brain. I was about to say something like the original voice of Tickle Me Elmo, or
I actually do.
The only guy I know who won first and third in a French fry eating contest or something like that. But I am nearing the end of. I'm getting a little road weary at this point.
I get that.
Yeah.
You're everywhere.
It's good. I'm looking for it. I'm in Tennessee right now. I drove down here. I had a meeting, and then I've got rest of the day today, all day tomorrow, part of Wednesday, doing the Nashville kind of market thing, and then I'll drive home. And a 6:30 a.m. flight out of Louisville on Thursday to Chicago, and so all day Thursday and part of Friday in Chicago, and then I have a full week at home with no travel.
Nice. Well, you've earned that. Yeah, I feel like last week you had the same exact schedule as you did this week. Rush. Always on the road.
Yeah. No, last week it was a great trip. I was in Indiana for a while, and I'm telling you what, man, people in Indianapolis love them some bourbon. I don't know if that market gets the attention that it should, but my gosh, they're serious.
Yeah, I feel like all of the places are popping up. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Illinois. There's all of these, and these are just the places I'm recently familiar with, and engaging with people. But it's incredible. It's growing like wildfire.
Yeah,
Whiskey is everywhere.
You're right. Milwaukee and Wisconsin is another one. I mean, it's nuts. I guess it's kind of the ones that are sometimes a bit. You always think of the big ones, right? I mean,
Right.
but New Jersey is huge. I don't know. It's just, I love it. It's great. But it's kind of neat to visit a lot of these places that are, I guess, traditionally, or like when you talk to, marketing people, they're like not on the beaten path, so to speak. I mean, that's not a negative. That's just, everybody's like, oh, it's Chicago, it's New York, it's LA, it's San Francisco, it's Dallas or Houston or, whatever. There's a lot of great whiskey towns in this.
Yeah. It's growing for sure. It's growing. We say this all the time. Women in whiskey used to be kind of a thing, like, oh, now there's more women in whiskey. I feel like that's just the norm now. There's, women in the profession, master distillers, master blenders, all the things, as well as just consumers. You see as many females on social media taking pictures of their bottles and showing off, their prizes as much as all the crazy guys out there, and younger people too.
Right. I mean, look, me personally, it's just, where I fall. But, give me the attractive female consumer showing off her bottle and her prizes over, the big, what was our boy that we had on here, with the cowboy hat? He hung out with me in Indy. I don't want to see his bottles and his prizes. I love Eric, but they're. He was great. Yeah, we went to dinner. He came to.
Yeah. I wondered if you saw Eric in Indy. Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, he was excited for you to come out. Yeah, but it's no longer just big burly guys with beards smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. It's there's a feminine side to it, which it brings great balance to the industry. I think.
It also says an awful lot about what's the way that American whiskey's trending, and it's not, it's just not what your granddad drank anymore. Like it's reaching, a whole new, all types of demographics, and that's super cool. So I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah, I have an answer for you.
We both, we do things on the, technically, I don't really do it anymore, but I did for a long time on the, and we've talked about this before. NDP used to be such a bad word, but, now, the cost of doing business, cost of producing a brand like Golden Sheaf, cost of producing a brand like 2XO. For me, I've got the added costs of the additional oak and obviously, I use a contract bottler, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to know both. I want you to give me an answer for 2XO that you've had and for Golden Sheaf. Okay. You just have to give me a number. What is it worth?
In American dollars?
Yeah, U.S. dollars.
What is it worth?
What's it worth?
What's the MSRP, or what's it worth?
I know, what's it worth?
Me?
What's it worth? I just, and I asked this because, and this has nothing, it really has nothing to do with 2XO. It's just stuff I was looking at the other day. But, sometimes I'm always intrigued with the comments on brands or bottles or whatever, that I like it, but it's worth this, I would like it so much more if it was at this price point. And by saying that price point, that essentially gives, do you look at bottles that way? Do you say this is worth this, but not worth that? Do you think that's what people say? Are they saying this is what I would be willing to spend on it? And then, sometimes I always question, it's like, if I'm buying a car and I just want to get from point A to point B, where's the spend, right? I mean, is it the Nissan Sentra because I'm just trying to get to and from work? Is there added worth or value in something that also gets me from point A to point B, but it has, a bit of a luxury appeal to it? Is there worth involved? Do I associate worth with the decal, like the hood, the decal on the hood, or the fact, I mean, it's just like this whole thing is sometimes I get caught up in it, and I probably shouldn't, but I wonder, sometimes I think, is what we're doing with the Phoenix blend, I feel like the general consensus has been that the liquid is well worth the price. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then there's that whole conversation of, and when I did Confiscated, it was completely different. It was like, I love the bourbon. I wish it was $65, not $125.
Yeah.
And you know, that at some point that kind of made me think, has lowering the price even below where we had Kentucky Owl, has the value of that come down because the Kentucky Owl logo doesn't have the cachet at 125 that it does at 300?
Right.
Or is it because it shouldn't be worth as much to me because it's readily available and therefore there's no scarcity around it, and so the worth of it comes down. I'm just kind of rambling here, but
yeah. Well, demand's a funny thing. So I'll give you our producer's answer. Myerton suggested that our bottles are priceless. I love that answer. Thank you, Myerton. There's the cogs, right? You build your product and everything costs whatever, the labels, the bottle, the closure, the co-packing, everything goes into it, the liquid, and so it has I'm a bourbon guy, right? I'm the guy that runs around liquor stores looking for the stuff that I can't find or,
oh yeah. What the hell did you pay for that bottle that we had in my office that day?
that was the Boss Hog 9. I paid $600 for that bottle, and that was MSRP. I thought that was a pretty good price. And I don't always pay $600 for bottles of whiskey. That was rare. I tasted it. It was unique enough to, I knew it wasn't something I was going to drink in a day. So I said, if I see that bottle, I'm going to buy it. So down at the Blind Pig down in Bardstown, I came across it, and I'm glad that I bought it, but I admittedly have a little bit of buyer's remorse from spending that much money on a single bottle.
Is that the most you've spent on a bottle?
I was just thinking about that. It's not actually.
Have you spent 4 figures on a bottle?
I have not. No. I bought a few bottles for a couple $100, just rare stuff that I, couldn't find, that I tasted. That's just it. If it's something that I taste and I really, really like it, stands out, then, I'm not basing it solely on, oh, look at that. I've seen those around and I need to have one. I don't, there's certain high dollar bottles that I don't care to drink, and I'm not going to, they're not my go-to. I'm a big fan of Buffalo Trace Antique Collection when they come out, typically George Stagg. But I've never gone all the way on a bottle like that. So to me, I don't mind paying for something that I don't do it very often, but if it's something that I've wanted for a while and I've tasted it and just have to have it in my collection. The thing about it though is, okay, so I bought a bottle one time. It was a bottle of Old Fitzgerald. It was a red label Old Fitzgerald 17-year, and I paid a pretty, for primary market, I paid a good price for it. But then I bought it and I got it home and I took a picture of it and I shared it with my buddies, and I think I put a picture on Instagram, and then I was like, oh, damn, that's it. And then I didn't even open it for probably a year. But when I did open it, I was like, man, I don't know. I'm not going to pay that much again for a bottle.
How much did you pay?
Oh, shit.
Don't hem and haw. It's right there. Just spit it out.
$750.
Yeah.
$750. But it was the first time I had seen it on a shelf, aside from seeing it on premise, in a bar. So it was just one of those things. For years, I've been chasing something like that.
I paid $1,200 for a bottle one time at a charity auction. It was a charity auction, But the caveat was they had to open it up and pour it for your table. And I mean, I paid it because I mean, it was a great cause and it was, you know, but
That's
yeah, it was like
different,
I think I paid $700 one time for a bottle of vintage 21-year-old rye. And I had it for a long time and it was phenomenal. I love it. I love that stuff. It was great. But when you, like what goes like when and I want to know, like I would just like to ask some of these people that say it to me that's only worth, and I'm not talking about vintage 21 rye, but like, you know, that was a great pour, great bottle. To me it's worth about $60. So okay, well the SRP on it is 150. So is it do you think people are saying that tastes like other things that cost $60? Is it a nice way of saying I overpaid for this and it's not as good as the price tag? Is it, I mean, I'm so far out of the going to stores and seeing prices. And I mean, I go in stores and it's usually
signing bottles.
Whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to understand this. Like I'm trying to understand this. This is a new critique that's out there a lot now, and it's about the worth. And well, this is in a market where the price point is just going up and up and up and up and up. I mean, I was quoted in the New York Times as saying that 75 is the new 35, and I believe that. I mean, it's everything that used to be $35 is pushing $65, $75 now.
Right. It's crazy that there's so much out there, but yet prices are increasing. I mean, that's inflation.
It's also expansion. You got to pay for the expansion.
Right. Yeah, these $1 billion, you know, doubling their output, adding a second still, all the things. Yeah. You know, similar to, I think you broke down tasters into what, 3 or 4 different categories, right? Three different categories. I think it's similar. You know, you've got your, just like anything else on the internet, you know, the trolls that are just looking to badmouth anything. Oh, another made up backstory with some sourced juice in a bottle, you know, with a fancy label, and you know, they're gonna charge you. So I get that, but you know, taste it. Come on, try it. And see what you think of it. But then you've also got, you know, your collectors that are kind of on the other end of the spectrum. They'll buy anything, and you know, there's a lot of gimmicky stuff out there. I mean, I think I saw a bottle of rum, but it was shaped like an AK-47 in a Vinny's the other day. And
I think that one's vodka, actually.
Was it vodka?
Yeah, and it's got a grenade next to it that's also glass. And
actually, there was one. It was this big sword. It was like a Gurkha, you know, like a big Bowie knife type of thing. And this stuff's kind of cool. But
let me tell you this. I got a picture of it somewhere. I was at a store. I was doing a bottle signing in Midtown Manhattan. It's a great store. I can't remember what it's called, but great store. And they had it was a rum, and it was a 700 ml bottle of rum shaped just like a male reproductive organ. Like, I mean, like everything was on there. And, you know, they're like, well, you have to take a picture with that. You know, everybody that comes in has to take a picture with that. And I was like, oh, okay, all right.
And add it to your collection.
What's the worth of that? Like,
you know, that's so that right there. To me, when you talk about
I was
value,
just thinking that's expensive glass. You know, that's an expensive bottle to make.
Seriously, I mean, yeah, no
like
shot straight from the bottle.
That is custom mold.
Yes, it is.
And taken to a whole nother level.
So there's gimmicky, but my formula, I've said this before, my formula for success is you have to have, you know, a good cover on the book, right? You know, a good package. not that kind of package.
I wasn't going anywhere. I mean,
but a good presentation. And then that has to be, that
yeah, and the package has to look lifelike. You know, I mean, it has to.
look
oh wait, no, sorry.
Wrong rabbit hole. Go, turn right.
Sorry.
So the presentation, it's kind of like a book. So that book, you can't always judge a book by its cover. But,
no, I mean, it's got to be a stiff spine, and like. Did that, like,
yeah.
Are you a hardback guy?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No soft covers for me.
Yes. Okay. Wow.
I know, man. I think we're gonna have to talk to our producers, our ratings, or our rating. We're gonna be in the adult category here. Be like competing with Howard Stern. So you've got a great presentation of your whiskey bottle. And then it has to have amazing juice, right? That's what keeps people coming back. So you can have the most gimmicky package. I'm just going to say the most gimmicky presentation, but nobody's going to keep drinking the stuff. And that's what cracks me up about these one and done deals is they look cool and they might even look cool on a shelf, but no, I mean, I've bought plenty of those, and they sit on my shelf, and I don't drink them, and I'm certainly not buying another one. So, the better the juice, the better the presentation, the more people are, apt to come back.
So, do you subscribe to the fact that, or do you have beef with the consumer who looks at your package, who samples your product? And would you have beef with them would you prefer them to say, David, I like this. It's good. It's not my thing. It's not my favorite. Or do you have beef when they say, I'm not saying anybody's ever said this about you, but like, I would love this if it was priced at this. To me, it is worth this. And I used to hear that, and there was I heard that a lot with Kentucky Owl, and it is a fine line, right? Because at one point when I had something to do with the pricing, I would say, okay, I understand, I'm buying liquid on the market. I'm introducing it to new barrels. I'm aging it and I'm bottling it at barrel proof. Those are significant costs that, we didn't create this price point. We landed there because that's what our model, where it took us. And so if you don't like it at that price point, I understand, but I don't have wiggle room. Now, when, the powers that be started increasing the price and increasing the price and increasing the price, I routinely said, if you'll look at my business card, it says master blender. It does not say master pricer. And, I didn't and don't and, couldn't do anything about that. But for all intents and purposes, I just wanted people to comment on whether or not they were enjoying what we had, and it kind of is what it is,
Right.
And you're not going to change the price. And I almost think that's somewhat of a fair or an unfair characterization of a product because the price, I don't know of many brands that are changing the price because somebody says, I would like this better at half.
Right. Yeah. Oh, everybody's got an opinion,
Yeah.
And it's all good feedback. I feel like, you take it with a grain of salt. I've heard people say, no, I'm not going to buy that latest release of Golden Sheaf because it's too expensive. I've never heard anybody say, I'm sure they have. I've never heard it say it's not worth it. which is good. You know, and there's always naysayers out there. I mean, I've heard
That's
people
a
say,
very good distinction. That is a great distinction. I mean, I've heard people say that about stuff I made with Kentucky Owl. They're like, I'm sure it's great, but it's not worth it to me at that price. It's like, that's fair. I mean, you know, you can't tell somebody else how to spend their money. It's their money. And, you know, there's a lot of great value out there at far less than, you know, what some people charge for bottles or whatever.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah. I mean,
I just think sometimes it's different. To me, it's a different comment. It's not worth it versus it's too expensive for my budget.
right. And then I've also heard people say, I have to wait till payday to go and buy, and I'm, you know, I kind of feel bad about, like, oh my gosh, what? These are loyal pay, you know, but they've got to wait till they get paid.
But isn't that awesome that's where they're willing to, you know, to spend their money? And maybe sometimes you want to say, hey, you know, make sure you get those groceries for the kids before you go.
Yeah. little Tommy needs his medication. Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, I've had people at tastings, you know, or at, you know, samplings at venues, and you know, people taste it and then they'll, you know, they give great feedback. Wow, that's really great. You know, I love that. And then they'll ask the price point, you know, how much is it? And I'll say it's, you know, $125 MSRP. And most people are like, oh, okay. But every once in a while, somebody's like, oh shit, I'm not paying that much for a bottle of whiskey. And you know, I don't blame you. You know, if you like Jim Beam and you're perfectly content with that, then great. Go spend $17 on I mean, I buy Jim Beam. I buy all kinds of stuff. And I also drink, you know, a variety of things. But if I'm in the mood to drink something higher end, then I don't mind spending, you know, the higher price point. I mean, I've, you know, what's your average? What would you say in the bottles that you've purchased in the last, you know, just for your own consumption, or for, what would you say is your average go-to price?
I'm not joking about this. This is not an exaggeration. I would say that in the last 3 years, I bet I've purchased less than 5 bottles of bourbon. I kid you not. I swear.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I'm guessing it's because you're drinking your own product at tastings and you're attending events where, and that fulfills your need to consume. So you're not needing to get out.
I can't tell you last time, unless somebody's over, that I had bourbon at my house. I drink gin and tonic and wine at home. I don't, and I don't know what that, but to your point. Okay. So back to your point, like I was always happy. I would be happy if I was shopping today. I mean, you know, for just something to casually drink and you know, that was there, that I felt like if somebody came over, I'd be like, hey, this is great, try that. You know, I'm kind of in that 40 to 60 bottle you know, range, and I think, you know, there's a couple on the little higher side of that. The question, and you probably get this a lot, I mean, and maybe this ties together, but you know, everybody's like, what are your 3 favorite kind of go-to everyday bourbons? I mean, I get it all the time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I go back to what I've used and done a lot in tastings and kind of what I gravitate towards. I mean, the Four Roses Small Batch Select, you know, is a little, Little higher than that price point. Bullet 10-year is just kind of would be my kind of, because I like that spice that's on there. And then, I love the, kind of Russell's Reserve line, that 10-year, 110 proof thing. They used to, I bet I have 70 different, private selections that I've been a part of that I have at home. But, to me, and I guess I'm answering my own question. I mean, but that's, if I can find something that I really enjoy in that kind of price window, and I'm more of a 1 or 2 a night guy, I'm not, but that makes me happy. I guess, I've bought bottles and said, that's not very good.
Right.
But it never registered to me to say, I'd be so much happier with this purchase if it were $20 less expensive. It was just like, that's not very good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I you know what? I just don't buy it again. If I'm not happy with it, there's, I love Four Roses single barrel. It's one of my go-tos. There's some Penelope stuff that I love now, their toasted barrel series. And, but I also love to try new things. So this is where I get hooked. I tried some Starlight, distillery whiskey recently. And it was a honey barrel finish. It was good. It was really good. I ended up buying 2 bottles of it because the first one disappeared almost overnight, and then they have some other stuff, and I ended up buying a couple different ones. So now now I've got 4 or 5 different versions of their whiskey, but that's what I'll find something that that's why I like tasting new things, because it just kind of opens up. I think it's a good idea to be familiar with what's going on in the industry, but also to just sample things. There's so much out there. And, but then I'll circle back to some of the rare finds. I might have a bottle of Kentucky Old Dry State around here somewhere. That kind of stuff that
Stolen.
stole my own version of confiscated.
This is I brought this with me. Actually, first of all, this was a gift. But it's the malted rye, 6-year-old malted rye whiskey from New Riff. Have you had that?
I have. Yeah.
I really like this stuff, but
It's not the Balboa, is it?
It's just the malted rye.
The malted rye. Okay.
But I was getting my stuff together, and so are you familiar with aged in ore?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I got, with
sent you a little gift
with the glass, and then the sample bottle that fits in the glass, that fits in this handy dandy little setup here. And I was like, I got to take a sample for the show. And then they sent me the 4-pack of bottles, and it's got a cool little marker that you can write on the top of the bottle, like what's in the sample, and then mark it off when you change it.
Yeah. That's pro grade, man.
This is legit, but the whiskey's legit. The Asian ore stuff is legit too. And to my knowledge, we didn't get paid to advertise any of the things we're talking about.
Right.
But
I did reach out to them though. The
Asian ore.
Yeah.
So I just I think that if I had bought this bottle of, I'm just always trying to understand this rationale now, because it happens more and more. Of okay, when you go buy a bottle of Mike stuff, Mike Palladini's Penelope, like a new one that comes out, and if you love it, do you say, wow, I got this for $75, but this is worth 150. Like, wow. Like, it never goes the other direction. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, and that's the always the funny thing is like, it's just a weird way that I seem to find a lot of people communicating about bourbons is like attributing values to things.
Right. Well, there's a lot of really good stuff. And by the way, Mike sent me a bottle of Architect the other day. Thanks, Mike.
I'm sure mine's coming. I'm sure.
He's just such a generous guy. I had shared some port finish bourbon with him a while back as well. So I think he was returning the favor. But thanks, Mike, for sending that out. There's so many back to the market saturation. There's so much out there, and there's so many that are at that under $50 price point. I've seen, I don't know how many podcasts or little things on social media recently, like 10 best bourbons for under $50. And that's great. Good for those influencers putting those things together. And
you're gonna have to do your list next episode. Your list of top 10 bourbons between $58 and $67. You start doing your research now.
Well, I don't mind doing a top 10 or but I want to preface that with this is my opinion. They're not the best. They're just what appeals to me and what I enjoy. I say this more and more at tastings is, drink it your way, however you want to drink it. Drink what you want. Find what you like. The more and more I see folks say, these are the best, this is the number one, this is the greatest. I get that, but that's one person's opinion. And there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff I've never even tasted, things that there's always stuff on my radar that, if I see it, I want to taste it, want to try it, see what the hype's all about. Sometimes I agree with it, sometimes I don't. But I'd love to I'll probably do a
Well,
a
by
top
the
10.
way, I bought a phenomenal bottle of rum in New York that I'm shipping to you. So get your thoughts on the packaging and the juice.
Okay. Yeah, I have a buddy of mine was in.
It's an oddly shaped bottle, but you're going to love it.
I can't wait to receive that package. Oh my god. Oh man.
Okay, and with that. No, so I think what we need to do, I would really like to, continue this discussion. We've got a number of discussions we need to continue, but
Yes.
A discussion on kind of the valuation of different products and how that, because that seems to be a real it just seems to be the way a lot of people want to grade things now. It's, I guess, because 1 through 10 doesn't work or whatever, but it's placing a value or a worth on a product, and it's just interesting to me. I need to know more about it.
Yeah, we should find somebody to join us for that follow-on discussion.
Educate us.
Yeah.
Educate us.
Yep. Teach us all the things. Yeah, I agree. Good talk, as always.
Absolutely. No, man, thanks. I'm lugging, because I drove, so I'm just spread out in this little conference room, and I get to pack all my cool little podcast stuff back up and go play Whiskey Guy for the evening.
Well, thanks for taking the time to lug all that stuff across the country and unpack it and set it up. And it's like setting up for gigs. It's like you're a rock star.
It's very much what this is, a very rock star-esque setting that I've got going on here.
It takes longer to set up and tear down than it does to actually do the gig. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. All of our
Oh, shut up! I'm telling you,
listeners
the gear. I like all the gear.
it. No, I know. We appreciate you taking the time because, man, you're a busy man out.
I've told you
on the
a
road.
1,000 times. This I look forward to this every time we do it. It's just fun, and I kind of feel like I can say what I want to say when I want to say it, and I don't have to worry about, because there's only 6 people listening, so it's great.
Ever since we had somebody on, and then we started to reference people in our, that comment online, man, we're getting tons of response.
No, it's great. The other day, when I was in Indiana, not Eric, somebody else was like, "I'm one of the 12," and I was like, "That's super cool." Thanks.
I hear people all the time. I love it. It's great. And yeah, somebody asked me where Dixon was. we don't live together.
We travel together.
We do podcasts together. Yeah. So we're gonna take the show on the road.
Stay in David's shirt pocket until he needs me.
Carry around in a backpack like Yoda. Yeah.
Baby Yoda.
All right. Baby Yoda.
All right, brother. Good stuff. And
stuff.
We'll continue this, and I don't know. Let's do it again soon.
Sounds great. Safe travels. Cheers, my
Thanks,
friend.
bro. Absolutely.
Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, comment, all the things. We want to hear from you guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Be careful with the packaging comments.